I'm Dr. Chris, the Detox Dentist, and these are the three things I would first look at in my own mouth if I was going to see a biologic dentist. Number one, I would always start with a 3D scan, a CBCT, or a CT scan as we used to call them. We don't say CT scan anymore because people think that has a ton of radiation. And in all truth, we can change the radiation on your scan from minimal to a little bit more, but the detail is absolutely critical. So, number one, I would always take a CBCT scan. I cannot see infections in your mouth if I do not have a true 3D scan. Now, every week I have patients come to me as second opinions that usually turn into patients because they have an ache or a problem or an autoimmune disease that has been undiagnosed or untreated because they haven't found the root cause. I take a 3D scan, a CBCT, and the vast majority of time there is an infection on an existing root canal tooth. Very common, unfortunately. And often there's an infection on a tooth that is a virgin tooth that hasn't even been touched, but may have a fracture or something like that. And the dentist hasn't seen it. So, what we do is we find infections through a 3D scan, and that is the most critical thing, the best benefit I can offer for you. So, if we take a 3D scan, a CBCT, and we find an infection and we solve that problem for you, we have now eliminated a root cause for, in my opinion, the vast majority of problems in your entire body. I feel that the infections start in the mouth, root causes, and if we don't address those root causes, they will spread to other organs, other systems, and eventually weaken your immune system, and you will get sick. And then they will treat the outcome, not the infection in the mouth. So, number one, CBCT 3D scan. Find that infection. If you don't have one, fantastic. Let's move on to number two. Number two would be poison. Number two would be mercury. Okay, mercury in your mouth is a toxin. It is the most toxic element known to man other than radioactive toxins. So, we're not going to put radioactive uranium in your mouth, but we are going to put mercury in your mouth. This mercury does leach into your system, and mercury travels from your tooth all around your body. It's been found in the brain for Alzheimer's disease, things like that, dementia. There is a clear link to toxicity from the mouth in your body. Even if general dentists don't want to admit to that, it is a clear link. Focal infection theory does work. It spreads. Nothing stays in your mouth and just lives in there. It is one entity. Mouth, body, it's one thing, right? So the bacteria from your mouth do travel all around the body. So if you have toxins in your mouth, such as mercury, then those toxins are released on a constant basis, and there's been clear evidence on this traveling to your brain and other places around your body and causing cumulative damage. So I would remove all the mercury fillings safely using a SMART protocol. Using a SMART protocol means that we're going to isolate the tooth from your body with a rubber shield. We're going to use a vacuum to pull all the fumes away from you. We're going to not cut the tooth or we're not going to cut the mercury. We're going to cut around the mercury so we don't pulverize it, but sometimes you have to cut a little bit. That's why we use the shield. Sometimes we vaporize a little bit. That's why we use the high volume suction. We use a very special suction, which is actually designed to specifically suction mercury because we're not allowed to put it into the water system or the regular dental vacuum system. So yeah, it is that toxic. We have to have a very special vacuum just for mercury. Okay, so that tells you something about that toxicity. Once we have removed all that toxicity, we're going to use chlorella mixed with ozone water inside the cavity that was created to remove the last little remnants of the mercury that is going to be present in the dentinal tubules, the tiny little holes, millions of them in your tooth that are still filled with mercury and other dangerous materials. We're going to chelate them out by using the chlorella, which is a wonderful organic natural chelation agent for heavy metals. We also don't remove mercury on somebody who's terribly ill. You don't want to create an immune insult or challenge the immune system when you're not feeling good. So if you have the flu or some kind of illness, you don't feel quite like you are up to par, please don't have this procedure done. Wait till you are good to go. Lastly, we're going to replace that mercury filling with a ceramic filling or a white composite material filled with zirconia, not plastic, a safer alternative. That being said, the biggest mistake I see in people who remove mercury fillings isn't how they do it, but what they put into the tooth. Often, when you remove that mercury filling, there's cracks in the tooth because it expands and contracts 2 to 3 times as much as the tooth structure does. Now, what does that mean? That means your tooth is cracked, it's fractured like a windshield. You do not put a filling inside of a cracked tooth. That will only further expand the crack, and before you know it, the tooth is lost because of a fracture, and nobody can fix a fracture that goes below the gums along the root. So what do? Well, we use a onlay or a crown or something that goes around the tooth and holds that fracture together. That is most of the time not done because people remove these small little mercury fillings and the dentist expects to put in a small little white filling, and that often doesn't serve the patient if there is a fracture in the tooth. It doesn't matter how big or how small that mercury filling is, the fracture will exist. So look for fractures. If you see one, please do something like an onlay or a crown. Don't just put a filling inside of it. It makes biologic dentists, holistic dentists look bad because you're not solving the problem. You're replacing one problem with another, often even worse. So at this point, you've had your CBCT, you've looked for infections, you've removed them, hopefully. Number 2, you've looked for toxins in your mouth, the main toxin being mercury, and you've removed the mercury fillings properly. So now you are theoretically looking at small toxins, such as, white fillings that are done with fluoride releasing materials, etc. But you have the 2 really big ones taken care of. So the third thing would be your biome or the bacteria in your mouth. Gum disease, periodontal disease, or some form of biome that is more prone to decay or bad breath or all kinds of nasty things that travel from the gums, again, throughout the body to your heart, crosses the placenta to the baby. The bacteria in your mouth go all over your body. So if you have gum disease or if you have bleeding gums when you floss, you have leaky gut starting in the mouth. Leaky gut is awful for so many reasons, way beyond the scope of this video. The fact remains, if you are bleeding when you floss or brush, or you have bleeding gums for any reason, you have leaky gut. Leaky gut is terrible. So I would definitely address the leaky gut or the bleeding gums in your mouth. Now that could involve a hygienist. That could involve some deep cleanings. That could involve removing teeth that are not savable, and the pockets or the measurements around the teeth are deep, meaning that they have bacteria that are anaerobic or non-oxygen loving bacteria. So the really bad ones, they live down deep in the gums. So we got to get rid of those. Now, getting rid of them is one thing, but we got to replace them with the good guys. The good guys are provided by a probiotic like Boss Biotics, the one that I created because I was frustrated with nothing being on the market that actually works. Anyhow, you put back good probiotics. You chew them in your mouth, they settle in your mouth, and then they filter down into your gut system. You're not just starting in the gut with probiotics, you're starting with the mouth because everything starts in the mouth. You swallow them all day long, and you're constantly rebuilding your gut system with the bacteria from the mouth. In the end, the only thing that keeps you alive, honestly, is your biome. So the quality of your biome in your mouth dictates a lot of things. Again, way beyond the scope of this quick little video, but you need to have a premium quality biome. If you don't, and you have the bad bacteria, you're going to have decay, you're going to have bad breath, you're going to have all kinds of issues with your system. Acid really isn't good for anybody. So we flipped the biome using a probiotic as well as a special probiotic diet, the Boss diet. Now, that really covers the 3. Number 1, CBCT. Number 2, mercury and toxins in your mouth. And number 3, your biome or the leaky gut in your mouth so that you don't have any bacteria leaking into your system, traveling throughout your body, releasing toxins that affect everything. So those are the top 3 things that I would look at as a biologic dentist for myself. And those are, of course, the first 3 things I look at for you as well. If you like this kind of stuff and you want to learn more tips and tricks that are going to unlimit your health, starting in the mouth, subscribe please and like this video and let me know what you're interested in learning about because health starts in the mouth and so does disease.